What future awaits the COPE report on the bond scam?
යෝජනා කළා වෙනම ජනාධිපති කොමිෂමක් පත් කරන්නයි කියලා. ඒ ජනාධිපති කොමිෂම පත් කිරීම මමත් අනුමත කරන හොඳ අදහස්.
Joint opposition lodges complaint with the bribery commission against the Prime Minister. Projects in Galinbindunu were stalled, funds misplaced, and Action TV expose. Iceland's Prime Minister resigns as ruling party loses ground in election over corruption scandals.
A very good evening and welcome. This is Prime Time News coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst newsroom here in Colombo. I'm Ramesh Irugal Bandara. Before we start the bulletin off with the comprehensive stories, let's take the short commercial break. Well, we have a packed show lined up for you today. As you saw in the headlines, we will be focusing today on the COPE issue as well as the central bank bond saga. But before that, our top story tonight is a large protest was held in Colombo today. We now cross over live to Fort, where Joel Outschoon is standing by with the very latest on this protest. Joel? Good evening, Joel.
Thank you very much, Ramesh. A very good evening to all our viewers. It's just few minutes past 9 and I'm currently opposite the Fort railway station here in Colombo. The weather isn't that great. And you see behind me are the war veterans who are in protest this evening, who commenced their protest this morning. Right up until now, they are here opposite the Fort railway station. They just demand one thing. They demand that the pension which they are supposed to be received be given to them. Let's now take a look at the events which unfolded up until now for these war veterans.
The group staged a demonstration opposite the Fort railway station this morning, demanding that pensions be paid for disabled veterans of the Triforces and the police who have served for less than 12 years. While a promise was made that pensions would be paid for disabled veterans with less than 12 years of service and officers with less than 10 years of service, the director of the Department of Pensions is now saying that this cannot be paid. This is a problematic situation. We kindly request the President to meet the request of these innocent veterans. The group then staged a protest march to the Presidential Secretariat to hand over a letter. The protest march caused the closure of Lotus Road for about 2 hours. While several demonstrators were allowed to enter the Presidential Secretariat, they noted that they were directed to the Ministry of Defence. During our lengthy talks today, we were told that rather than the pensions for which we have submitted files on 2 occasions, a system would be implemented for these funds to be paid as an allowance. What we want is the proposed pension and not any other payment. As a result of the authorities failing to meet their demands, the demonstrators commenced a hunger strike this evening opposite the Fort railway station, blocking Olcott Mabtha.
No matter rain or shine, these war veterans say that they will continue their protest right here opposite the Fort railway station until their demands are met. These war veterans sacrificed their life and they lost a limb, they lost parts of their body just for the future of our country, to secure, to safeguard the country. But today, these war veterans had to get onto the streets to ensure that their rights are fulfilled. They also say that when so many scandals are taking place here in the country, why is a blind eye turned to these innocent plea of these innocent war veterans? We at News First will keep a close watch into the situations that unfold. Reporting opposite the Fort Railway Station, Joel Outskun, News First. Back to you.
Thank you, Joel, for that live update. We, of course, thank our war veterans for their services to the motherland, and News First will continue to stay with them to bring you the latest developments on their plight. On our developing story tonight, members of the joint opposition arrived at the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption today to file a complaint calling on the Commission to look into the irregularities that took place during the bond scam and the involvement of the Prime Minister in this issue.
11 members of the joint opposition arrived at the Bribery Commission to lodge the complaint. The complaint was based on 7 documents, including the Auditor General's report as included in the COPE report. The complaint has also cited the excerpts of the COPE report, which mentions the evidence given by the former central bank governor during questioning on the 27th of February 2015, saying that he was instructed by the Prime Minister during the bond issuance. The joint opposition says that this has been further affirmed through the evidence which was presented by Central Bank Deputy Governor P.N. Veerasinghe. Lodging a complaint with the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption, the joint opposition requested that an investigation be launched to ascertain whether Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was involved in the transaction, to confiscate the monies which were earned through the bond scam, and to take legal action against Arjuna Aloysius and Arjuna Mahendran. The losses which were incurred by the country surpasses 1,000 billion rupees. The Prime Minister who appointed the central bank governor should temporarily step down until investigations conclude, or he should allow a fair investigation. We are requesting that the former central bank governor Arjuna Mahendran be arrested upon his arrival from Singapore and investigations be launched thereafter. All provisions for legal action against the former central bank governor Arjuna Mahendran as well as the Prime Minister have been established through this. The central bank was always under the purview of the Minister of Finance. The central bank was then taken under the Prime Minister's purview. After that, we see Arjuna Mahendran being appointed as a central bank governor. This clearly shows that a premeditated plan is coming into fruition. I opine that nothing will happen since Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is the minister in charge of the central bank. What should be done is that a presidential commission should be established. The president can't escape this. There is evidence which was presented by Arjuna Mahendran. The evidence clearly says that the Prime Minister had given him instructions. Therefore, there is no way that the Prime Minister can escape this.
We just heard the views of the joint opposition as well as the JVP on this matter. What does the UNP say? These are the views expressed by Deputy Minister Eran Wickramaratne during a media briefing convened by the UNP today.
The Prime Minister's responsibility is to appoint an individual. So what is the problem here? He first worked at the central bank, went on to work at international banks, and then he came back on the invitation of the Prime Minister. Then the responsibility that lies with the Prime Minister is the appointment of the individual. In my opinion, how the relevant individual acts is not the responsibility of the Prime Minister. However, the chairman of COPE had mentioned during a media briefing yesterday that former Governor Arjuna Mahendran had mentioned presenting evidence that this was done on the Prime Minister's instructions. Then it is right to say that the Prime Minister could be held responsible for this. I need to clearly state that the Prime Minister did not instruct to go ahead with the bond issuance, but he had mentioned the government's need for money and he had mentioned about the necessary amount that is needed for the government-led projects.
The Prime Minister is not the leader, he is the minister. If fraud is taking place in an institution under your ministry, who else should be held accountable? This is a joke. Eran Wickramaratne should be ashamed. He cannot say that. There is no need for a subject minister if you can just do what you want. At the very least, they should not have said it. It would have been better if it was not said. If you are delegating a responsibility, you are accountable. You are accountable on behalf of them. We did not vote for Arjuna Mahendran. Ranil Wickremesinghe is the only one who has been elected. They in turn delegate the responsibility to officials, so they are accountable for this. That is why ministers resign. In truth, in this case, Ranil Wickremesinghe should resign. If he has a political conscience, that is what he must do.
Now, corruption scandals they are not only limited to Sri Lanka, they happen all over the world. But how do officials and the people react when faced with such scandals? Newsfirst Charlotte Sexton filed this report for us.
Signalling a decisive moment in the future of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and the future of this government, the joint opposition today called for an investigation into the Prime Minister's role in the central bank bond scandal. The Prime Minister is not alone in facing a public backlash for apparent failures in public office. Over the weekend in South Korea and Iceland, voters took a crucial stand against political corruption and lack of transparency. The Icelandic Prime Minister Sigurdur Ingi Johannsson resigned yesterday after his party lost votes to the Pirate Party in Saturday's general election. While the governing Progressive Party lost more than half of its seats in Parliament, although the Pirate Party did not win the election, it managed to triple its seats in the 63-seat Parliament. The quick rise in popularity of a party only founded in 2012 has been attributed to public anger with the Icelandic government's handling of Iceland's 2008 financial crash and the Panama Papers revelations earlier this year that led to thousands protesting outside Iceland's parliament building. The election was called after the Prime Minister, Sigmundur Gunnlaugsson, was forced to step down after the Panama Papers leak linked him to an offshore fund and indicated that he could be concealing millions of dollars worth of family assets. The humiliating loss of seats by the Progressive Party sends a clear message that Icelandic voters are not prepared to put up with corruption. Instead, voters are turning towards a party that embraces protection and enhancement of civil rights, including free speech and the right to privacy. Thousands of miles away in South Korea, voters remain furious about the alleged access to confidential government documents by Choi Soon-sil, informal advisor and friend to South Korean President Park Geun-hye. While exactly how Choi might have influenced Park is unclear, some local media and opposition parties believe her influence led Park to force big local conglomerates to donate millions of dollars to two foundations they claim she had set up. An estimated 12,000 people took to the streets on Saturday to demand that Park step down. While yesterday Park accepted the resignations from her chief of staff and 4 other government aides in an attempt to curb the outcry at her administration. Although Park has made a public apology, she has declined to specify which classified documents were seen by her confidant. With revelations continuing to emerge over the central bank bond scandal, we still don't know how this saga will end.
Thank you, Charlotte, for that report. Now that the COPE report is out in the open, what is the next step? What is the next course of action? The United National Party says that they will fully support an investigation by the CID or the FCID if the JVP lodges a complaint in this regard. However, experts say this could just be a ploy to sweep both the investigation and the fraud under the carpet.
The Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE, unveiled its report on the central bank bond transactions from February 2015 to February 2016 recently. In its report, COPE notes that former central bank governor Arjun Mahendran is directly responsible for the bond scam and recommended that legal action be initiated against Mahendran and the officials involved in this transaction. COPE also recommended that a competent legal authority should investigate the activities of the perpetual treasuries owned by Arjun Aloysius, the son-in-law of the former governor, as it was able to earn an unusual profit through the bond transactions. When inquired into the future course of action in relation to the COPE report, State Minister Eran Wickremesinghe shared these views during a UMP media briefing. When D.W. Gunasekara was the chairman and they were investigating various matters, the CID was instructed to directly look into them and provide a report. Sunil Handuneti now has the opportunity to call on the FCID, CID or the Bribery Commission to investigate this. We will extend our fullest support. Is this the party's view or your personal view? This cannot be delayed or postponed. As the voice against corruption, we will go before the Supreme Court against this. Our lawyers are already examining the COPE report thoroughly and are gathering the necessary information and documentation.
ලේඛන සකස් කරමින් ඉන්නවා.
However, experts are of the opinion that such steps would not lead to stringent legal action.
Now the COP committee has recommended that those who are responsible for the government as well as the scam that has taken place in the treasury bond market be brought before justice. But in order to do so, it is necessary that a vast amount of evidence has to be gathered by the people who are going to prosecute these people. What is necessary is to examine the emails, examine the telephone conversations, examine the assets that these people have acquired, and record statements, and then record statements from other people who are implicated in the statement. So it is necessary to build up a vast amount of evidence which could be proved before a court of law.
අපිට දැන් වාර්තා තුනක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ කෝප් වාර්තාව විගණාධිපතිතුමා.
We now have three separate reports. They are the COP report, the Auditor General's report and the Central Bank report. Now the monthly board of the Central Bank can examine these reports through their attorneys and take steps to get this money back into the country. That is what we are afraid of. There could be an attempt to sabotage these legal efforts. This has become a major issue for the seniors of this government. It is better to let the Attorney General's department or attorneys close to the government to handle this issue.
ඉවර කිරීම මම හිතන්නේ වඩා යෝග්‍යයි.
මේකෙන් අයත් ලිස්ටලා යන්න තව දෙයක්.
They are attempting to wriggle out this. The Prime Minister is saying that he will allow the Attorney General to handle this issue. This was given to him mid last year. However, no action has been taken. DW Gunasekara suggested during an interview with Sirasa that a presidential commission should be appointed. I also support the appointment of such a commission.
ජනාධිපති කොමිසම පත් කිරීම මමත් අනුමත කරනවා.
We are not afraid of the COP report. The Parliament is not a courthouse to brand someone a fraudster. We will debate this report. We will agree with any decision reached by Parliament. If anyone says that a fraud was not committed, then he is either a complete idiot or a thief who is involved in this fraud. The Attorney General should be summoned immediately and instructed to file a case based on this report. This case could be heard before special court if need be. The perpetrators should be arrested disregarding their position. They are attempting to use this money to buy Central Finance and the NDB Bank. They are attempting to launder this money. They are attempting to use money earned through this scam to buy the banking sector.
මේ ක්‍රියාවලියට අපි ඉඩ දෙනවද? මේක 50 පිට සිදු වෙච්ච මේ මංකොල්ලේ හරහා දැන් බැංකු ක්ෂේත්‍රයත් මිලදී ගන්න යනවා.
At a time when everyone is talking about the bond scam, the government also took steps to raise the value-added tax or VAT. Now, Newsfirst conducted an opinion poll about this. Let's see what the people had to say.
Amidst a backdrop where billions were lost due to the central bank bond scam, the value-added tax was implemented. During the recent parliamentary session, 112 MPs voted for the VAT, while 65 did not vote and remained undecided. Why did the same MPs remain silent with regard to the central bank bond scam? A poll was conducted on our Facebook page with regard to the CBSL bond scam. The poll asked the public if VAT should be increased in order to develop the country, or should the funds lost in the bond scam be reclaimed. The public responded with 98% calling for the funds to be reclaimed.
And finally, critical views were also expressed in this regard.
Since we are constantly talking about VAT, the Finance Minister has said that the revenue from the VAT will be 1.5 billion. Perpetual Treasuries has suddenly earned a massive profit of 10 billion. This is public money. If they utilize these funds, there is no need to increase VAT.
පාවිච්චි කළොත් එහෙනම් VAT බද්දු කිසිම වැඩි කිරීමක් කරන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයකුත් නැහැ.
Newsfirst, of course, will continue to monitor the developments surrounding the bond scam as well as the COP report and the future of it. For now, that's it from the Newsfirst newsroom. It's time now to go back to the Newsfirst studio. Shane and Jitendri, it's over to you.
Yes, thank you, Ramesh. Let's now take a look at more local stories in detail.
An event was held today to mark World Cities Day under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
The event was held at Suhurupai in Battaramulla. The Prime Minister also launched the new Facebook page on new city projects. We need a large city at present. We have an opportunity now to become influential in the Indian Ocean. That is why we have commenced this project here. This may be the most developed part of the country, and if so, that makes it easier for us to bring rapid development here. We must create the best city in the middle of the Indian Ocean with plans and technology for the next 2 to 3 decades. We are redrawing the preliminary plan to where to build ports, airports, expressways, railway hubs and urban expansion across the country. We hope to present the new plan next year. I wish to state that we have commenced a process where the cities born of the design of the megapolis will be maintained by the cities themselves. Certificates were also presented at this event to children who participated in the contest to design models of new cities.
The Rajarata-Pokunu project, for which funds were allocated by the central government, will go down in history as an incident of defrauding public funds against a backdrop where even the tables and chairs at the Galin Bindunueva Pradeshya Sabha are being auctioned. On 2 occasions in 2011, movable assets belonging to the Galin Bindunueva Pradeshya Sabha were auctioned by court order to pay the arrears owed by the council to a contractor on the Rajarata-Pokunu project. However, there isn't even a well, let alone a pond in the Galin Bindunueva area constructed by the Pradeshya Sabha on the directive of the North Central Provincial Council. Since the case filed by the contractor hired to build the ponds is still before court, it is possible that the Pradeshya Sabha may have to auction more movable assets in order to pay arrears. The premises housing the Pradeshya Sabha has now been taken over by the Divisional Secretariat. The fact that both the Divisional Secretariat and Pradeshya Sabha in Galin Bindunueva are wasting public funds and not delivering public services is symbolized by this water tank. The only purpose this water tank serves at present is as a viewing deck to take in the surroundings. A large portion of the 20 million rupees allocated by the central government to the Divisional Secretariat to fulfill the drinking water needs of 300 families in the settlements of Ashwaya Bandiwava, Ihalagama and Ulpatgama was used to commence construction of this water tank in 2009. People from 300 families who would be beneficiaries of this project provided their labour free of charge. Having constructed the tank and laid the pipelines, the Divisional Secretariat entrusted the maintenance and operation of this water tank to the Pradeshya Sabha in 2012. In 2014, the Pradeshya Sabha charged a sum of 7,000 rupees from each family in order to affix water meters and connect them to the water supply grid. While the well which serves as the water source contains plenty of water, where this water is distributed to after it is pumped to the water tank is a mystery.
We got the technical officer here and asked him what was happening. He pointed out various locations and they dug it up. But there were no valves. So once it is open, we don't know where the water is going.
A considerable section of the population of Galin Bindunueva has been affected by the scourge of chronic kidney disease, which has blighted the Rajarata region. Against a backdrop where the people's labour and money has been stolen and where they have been deprived of the benefits of a 20 million rupee project allocated for them by the central government, what secret belies the ability of the former divisional secretary, the technical officer and the former chairman of the Pradeshya Sabha in Galin Bindunueva to evade punishment? Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government, over to you.
Speaking to delegates from 23 nations today, President Maithripala Sirisena reiterated the government's commitment to effective and efficient alcohol prevention policies.
The IOGT International Celebration Conference got underway in Kandy today under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. 93 delegates from foreign nations are attending the conference this year.
I am proud to say that we have implemented 8% of pictorial warnings in all tobacco packs, and very recently we increased the taxes of tobacco as it is one of the most effective ways of discouraging initiation. I recall working closely with ADIC as a young opposition member of parliament in the 1980s. I faced many challenges when I proposed to implement pictorial health warning on tobacco packs in Sri Lanka. Conference would initiate fruitful dialogue among all the delegates and contribute towards more effective and efficient alcohol prevention and policies.
As incidents of wild elephant incursions increase, the villagers of Serunuwara in Kantale have been forced to spend their days and nights under constant threat.
In addition to protecting their crops, their homes and their lives, the people of Kantale also have to regularly get involved in operations to chase away wild elephants. This incident transpired yesterday. The elephant was eventually chased out of the village with the support of wildlife officers and the police at around 6 p.m. No one has looked into this yet. We live in fear amid many hardships. Residents of villages including Alayapattua and Manigamua in Anuradhapura are also under the threat from wild elephants. Villagers say that the beasts have damaged 12 homes over the past 2 days alone. We have been staying awake for days on end. We spent the entire night awake with lit torches. I was awake till dawn yesterday. If I am not awake, the animals will kill us all. The encroaching elephants decide whether the people spend the night in the village or in the jungle.
The children walk about 1 to 2 kilometers to get to school. When the children leave home early in the morning, this is a major inconvenience. When I spoke to the wildlife officers in the morning, they said they could only get here by 10 or 11 a.m. They say they will come when the time permits. This is not a solution in a situation where people's lives are at stake.
Various views were expressed regarding the bond scam on the political arena today.
We leave you tonight with the comments expressed by Ministers Lakshman Kiriyalla and Party lead Champika Ranilkar. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Jyoti Juganasena.
And I'm Sharon Silva. Good night.
මේ වංචාව ගැන දැන් මෙතන වංචාවක් උනේ නෑ මේමයි අරමයි කියලා කවුරු හරි කියනවනම් ඔහු එක්ක පට්ටපල් මෝඩේ නැත්නම් පට්ටපල් හොරෙක් වහාම නීතිපතිවරයා කැඳවලා මේ කෝප් වාර්තාව ඔහු අතර දීලා මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් නඩු පැවරීම ඉතාම කෙටි කලකදී කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ නඩුව විශේෂ අධිකරණයක් ඉදිරියේ හැකියක්මනින් අහන්න ඕනේ. තරාතිරම නොබලා අත්අඩංගුවට ගත යුතු පිරිස් අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න ඕනේ. මේ සල්ලි ටික පාවිච්චි කරලා සෙන්ට්‍රල් ෆිනෑන්ස් ආයතනය මිලදී ගන්න යනවා. NDB බැංකුව මිලදී ගන්න යනවා. මේ කළු සල්ලි සුදු කරන්න යනවා. මේ ක්‍රියාවලියට අපි ඉඩ දෙනවද? මේක අස්පනා අපිට සිදු වෙච්ච මේ මංකොල්ලේ හරහා දැන් බැංකු ක්ෂේත්‍රයත් මිලදී ගන්න යනවා.